Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day, and with that being said, dive into the TA. Alright guys, we'll kick off the video today with Mr. VIX over here. As we pointed out in yesterday's video, underneath 1880, we're going to be looking for a VIX crush all the way down to new lows. That means coming down and breaking 1623. When we opened today, we were still 10% away from it. As of right now, at the close, we are still 7% away from taking out that low. I do think that happens over the coming sessions. I don't think VIX is likely to bounce before then. And if we do end up coming down here, getting a little bounce, I think it's something that gets sold around here, around 1880, and then we end up taking out 1623. All right, so that's what we're looking on VIX. We're going to come over here, go over QQ, SPY. We'll go over the Mag 7 stocks. And I have some trade ideas going into tomorrow for you. All right, so first things first, guys. We had a bull flag breakout coming in today on the daily time frame. We got bought up, mean reversion off the daily 21 EMA. Boom, got the breakout today. And then coming down into the open, all right, smaller time frames, we did end up having a bull flag over here on SPY and QQQ. All right, guys, so you did end up just breaking over pre-market high here. You did not violate pre-market low. Either way, you know, we were going to be watching the zone over here. This was your breakout zone. As long as you were holding there, guys, and then you push back up above pre-market high, we were going to be targeting up here all-time highs. You did not hit all-time highs today. You did not get 540.81. You came within 11 cents. Because you are not hitting it today, it is extremely likely that you will be taking out that level tomorrow. We got a new all-time high on a closing basis. We did not get a new all-time high on a normal basis, okay? So I think that comes tomorrow. I think it's very likely that is going to happen. You know, we have an explosive looking setup here, and, you know, do you just come into it and then pull back right away? I don't think so. I think maybe you get a pullback and that gets bought, and then next week we also go higher from here. Would just make more sense after, you know, this whole mess we've had with the whole tariff flash crash. All right, but you know, we've been consolidating here for two and a half weeks here. You also consolidated here for 2.5 weeks, okay, and then you broke up from that, barely moved, and then consolidated there for 2.5 weeks, and then boom. All right, so I think at some point this is probably going to accelerate a little bit. I think we could be on our way to 550 to 560 over the coming 1 to 2 weeks. All right, so yeah, we're finally up here, guys. That was, you know, the thumbnail yesterday. All-time highs, thumbnail and title. All-time highs incoming. Get ready. I hope you're ready. I hope you made some money today. And, you know, if you didn't, I'm going to point out some ideas for you to make some into tomorrow. If you are having trouble in the market, if you're not killing the market, we have a hot market. So if you're not killing the market, I will help you do so. Link will be down below. You can come join me. I will be live streaming every single day so you can see in real time how to be killing this market. I am an options trader, just letting you know ahead of time. Doesn't mean you can't trade other things, but I am an option trader. That's my specialty. That's what I'm good at. All right, and I'm telling you, we got a lot of hot setups going tomorrow, guys. We really do. So we're gonna cover some at the end of today's video, but let's finish going over here QQ and SPY. Okay, so let's go over what we are going to be watching tomorrow, guys. All-time highs. That's the only upside level you're watching tomorrow. 540.81 above there, guys. Just watch the psychological levels. We're talking 541, 542, 543, 545 specifically, okay? I'm not saying you go straight up there and hit tomorrow, but typically on these all-time high breakouts, you will start to accelerate a push, all right? You know, on a lot of them, you will do so, and especially after we pulled back for so long, we spent so long consolidating over here, okay? It was just slightly moving up. Every time you got up, you pulled back into that previous range. Just like you got it, like you got sweep. All right, you've made this high, swept, 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 pull back. You finally make it out. Okay, you make it out the slums over here. What happened? You get pulled back into the slums. All right, and then boom, you finally make it out again. You get pulled back into it, and now you got your mean reversion. This is what, you know, I was saying. It was either going to happen on the daily time frame over here. It was going to happen on the weekly time frame. If we can't hold the 21 EMA there on the daily, we're probably going to get the mean reversion on the weekly, and it was going to set up a really big buying opportunity. No one believed me, but as you guys can see now, yeah, we didn't get the really big opportunity, but we did end up rocketing right off of one of two spots that we were pointing out here on SPY and QQQ. All right, so, you know, that's really all it is tomorrow, guys. Watch 540.81, and then on the downside, if you sweep 540.81 and then you somehow make it all the way back down here and you close underneath 535.37, then yeah, you're probably come back over here and we get a larger sell. But unless that becomes the case, guys, do not get bearish on this market. You got no reason to. And anybody who is going to be shorting an aggressive uptrend, I think you're having a bad time. I think you are consistently having a bad time. And if you don't know why you're having a bad time, I just gave you the answer. Go with the trend. And I talked on live today about how, the trend is your friend until the end. I've had, some very expensive lessons on both the long side and the short side there. Heaviest being on the short side there. That you just don't want to be going against the trend. The surprises are going to be in the direction of the trend. And, it's very clearly that we are in monthly uptrend, weekly uptrend, daily uptrend. I hate being called the perma bull. It happens. All right. I gotta, I gotta take the title, I guess, because, people don't know how to trade. Like anybody calling me a perma bull when we're in an aggressive uptrend on all three of the major time frames, I think you're stupid. I also will tell you you're stupid if you call me a perma bull in the comments. Why? Because you are. All right. There's at a minimum, you're not stupid. You're just losing your money. that's it. Which I'm gonna say. Yeah, it's very clear where the trend is right now. Okay, so anybody who is betting on the downside, just realize like you are continuously betting against things, and rather than shorting when the market's pulling back, I do a really good job at identifying strength in the market. I am a breakout, break and retest, reversal trader, base breakout, range breakout, whatever you want to refer to it as. Those are my main setups, okay? And there's always going to be setups out there every single week. I try and tell you guys about this. If you miss out, don't catch yourself chasing things. Don't do it, all right? You catch yourself doing it, smack yourself back into reality, okay? Like straight up, that is a recipe for also losing money. You don't need to chase. I give you so many clean setups every single week. Even if the market is pulling back, I still give you setups with strength to focus on at the end of every single video. If you just give me the time of day here, if you just put in the work, by that I mean watch these videos. I do the work for you. You just have to, just add these to your charts, add the levels to your charts, put on the alerts. Okay, if you want to join me in the Discord, you can literally just see when we're doing things in the Discord, and you're gonna have a good time. Okay, but in reality, you have stuff to trade every week. Okay. Every single week, there is something with strength that you can be focusing on. There's usually 2 to 4 key setups that I will identify for you. And guess what? They usually end up playing out. Even in a market that's moving down. I was talking in live today on how, I'm not even going to try and short over this. Even if I were to catch something, I probably would have been playing July 18 puts. Okay, just because, the calls I'm focused on right. They're normally 1 to 2 months out right now. That's the July 18 calls. And then we do get a larger pullback. I was planning on doing August calls across the board. But, as of right now, it's July 18th. And guess what? Anybody who's shorting, even if you caught the whole entire little retracement, it took so long back and forth. All of this is just theta decay up the ass over here, straight up. You're only up 50 to 70% if you go from here to down here. That's just my style, okay? I don't, I play weekly sometimes, but I'm going to be honest. My style, okay, I can identify 50 to 100% opportunities, multiple every single week, and I can execute on multiple every single week, all right? What I can't do is short a freaking uptrend and expect the thing to, surprise me to the downside and boom, I make a ton of money. That's not how it works. I'm going to be sitting there stressed out. I'm going to be sitting there knowing I'm shorting an aggressive uptrend. It makes absolutely no sense. So people, who were calling for a crash, I'm going to say, maybe you're not stupid. Okay, but I'm definitely going to tell you, wake the fuck up. It's not how the market works. Stop losing your fucking money. Let's get back to the video. Rant over. All right, that's cute. Spy over here. Just clean up this chart just a little bit, but just to show you, it was the same exact setup coming into the day. It was an easy money day over here. Okay, guys, everything is looking very clean. We have breakouts up the ass across the board. That's what we got cooking right now. Okay, in reality, kind of have no excuse not to be making money today. All right, it was a very easy day. It's probably going to be a very easy week, even if you suffered the HIMS gap down fiasco over there, 25% gap down. you still should have been able to make your money back as of the next day, as of the for me, as of yesterday, probably as of, you know, most of the people in the Discord. I hope you guys are following along with me, but definitely as of the next day. Okay, let's be completely real. We have so many freaking hot setups right now to focus on right now, and it's not even the speculative stocks. Speculative stocks, yes, they're going, but we have so many mega caps going on right now. We have the Mag 7s going right now. There's no reason for you not to be making money in the market. All right, straight up on the upside, watch 607.85 today's high. Above there, 609.07. Above there, mark out a new level right there for you guys, 610.78 and then 613.23. All-time highs coming on QQ tomorrow. I cannot guarantee you do so on SPY, but I'll tell you right now, that is where the market's heading over the next 1 to 2 weeks with all likelihood here on SPY. All right, so that's what you're watching on the upside. On the downside, what do we got cooking? 605.37 underneath 605.37. You know what? We're going to change that level right there. We're going to mark out this high. 605.06 underneath 605.06. We got 603.41, 601.75, and 654. That is going to be the gap that was left behind. I personally am under the impression that that gap's not going to be filled yet. All right, and I'm not even going to say anytime soon. I imagine you're not going to come up here, come all the way back down here, and then come back up. I think you're about to get a trending move going up to new all-time highs, like past all-time highs, and I think we got, you know, 620 to 630 on deck over the coming weeks. Okay, call me a perma bull you want. I'm accurate as shit on this channel, and you know the haters, they just don't want to recognize that at all. So I'm gonna, again, you just try and argue with me, you try and tell me I'm a perma bull, I'm gonna call you stupid, and I'll explain why you're stupid. You're doing a stupid thing. Maybe you're not stupid, but you're doing something you know is not right. And if you don't know it's not right, then you got no business being a market participant right now. You just don't. All right, so that's SPY. Coming over here to IWM. What do we got cooking on IWM, guys? Oh, we're going straight to 217. Did Henry Boyd say 217? Yes, we did. Okay, 217 we pointed out yesterday. That's where you're going to be targeting if you're long in IWM. All right, above today's high at 214.93. You're watching for the move to 215.93, and then above there, 217. Target is met. Above there, 220 incoming, 220.67 to be specific. You did tag the 200 DMA. I pointed out over here to be selling. If you were taking the position down over here with me, this is exactly where you wanted to be selling. We tagged that bitch by cents, okay? And we pulled right back. We reverted to the mean. And then I identified the setup again over here. I didn't take it the second time around because I'm occupied with other things. Okay, I don't want to spread myself too thin. We got a lot of hot setups right now, and I think there are better setups than IWM. But I'll tell you right now, 217 incoming, then 220.67. All right. Mag 7 stocks. Favorite stock right now, Meta. Why Meta? Because Meta is looking like a freaking monster, and it just got its breakout from this 3-week range. 3-week range. 2.5 to 3 weeks, just about. Give it 2 more days. You got a 3-week range going on over here. Guess what happened? You broke out off of increasing volume today. The thing looks like a monster. The thing is about to be pushing up to all-time highs. Above today's high at 713.19. We're talking 725. I'm thinking 720 to 725 comes in tomorrow into play. Above 725, we're talking 740.91, and I do imagine we probably get 10 to 20 points above there on the breakout the same week. All right, and then honestly, I think we're probably, if we get this big move this week, it's like this. Maybe we get a back cap down the following week. Take your profits, okay? If you're trading with me, you're not going to be chasing it up here. You're entering when it makes sense to enter. You're getting ready for the move ahead of time. Okay, we prepared for this, and now it's happening. All right, we're either gonna break it down under 675.25, or we were going to bust it up over 708.87. We busted it up over 708.87 today, and now it is moving. All right. Do not be looking to short this thing because, oh, you think it makes sense that, oh, it pulls back. It doesn't. I'm telling you for a fact, you just broke out from a 3-week range that's 27 points wide. It's probably going to have an equivalent move. The equivalent move brings you to 735. All right, like right here. And at that point, you're coming up to 740.91. I want to point out here, Meta can have massive weeks. All right, absolute massive weeks. Those 85 points. Yes, you did pull back in the end. But do you want to see what happens with an 85-point move this week? You get 10 to 20 points above what I was talking about, 740.91 up there. You get 760. And then maybe you pull back. And then maybe you pull back to start off the week and you get a buying opportunity. You notice how over here you got the fresh breakout to all-time highs. Even over here, you had a 42-point move. Okay, you're only at 34 points. You are likely going to test 720 this week. I think with how we're set up, consider it's only Tuesday. I think tomorrow could be a big day and potentially 730 to 740. Meta, my favorite Mag 7 stock right now. All right, coming over to GOOG. Guys, GOOG is showing relative weakness. I don't think there's a reason to focus on it. If you can reclaim 172.91, we're just going to say 173. You got to get back above this 200 daily moving average. At that point, you could start focusing on it again because it hasn't gone yet, okay? They all take their turns. But I'm telling you right now, you got no business focusing on this one right now. I give you the hot setups, and right now it's on Meta. I told you this yesterday. All right, Amazon. You want another hot setup to focus on? It's Amazon. If this thing does happen to push through 218.40, it's coming straight up here to 225 to 230. Okay, that's what we're talking. This is a bull flag over here. You avoided, getting the bearish cross between the moving average right there. Your cloud is still bullish. I know you started pulling back into close there, but let's look at how the weekly chart is set up. It's a break and retest, okay, off of this little area over here. Okay, and you're also still holding the weekly moving averages, the daily moving averages. You are consolidating what looks like to be a little flag action. Okay, above 214.84, we're talking 218.40. Above 218.40, this move commences. Above 218.40, you're targeting 220, 223.72, 225.86, and then 228.06. Coming over to Apple. Again, just like GOOG, you got no business focusing on this guy right now. You got no business. It hasn't given you any bias to go off of, and it's going to make a big move. It's just not going to be yet until it proves to us that it's making that big move. We have absolutely no idea which way it's going to go. In my opinion, it's set up in a bearish manner, but at the same time, we could see it just keeps getting bought up over here. It doesn't want to break down. You really got to break down all the way underneath 190 for this thing to really get the bearish move that I think the setup justifies. Or you're going to break above 210. You come straight up here. We're talking 225, 230. All right. But like right now, you got no business trading it. Tesla. Another thing that right now, I don't think like today, there's no business trade. I told someone today that, hey, it's not worth. Someone asked if the pullback was worth buying over here in Tesla. No, it's not. Why? Because the thing is not trending right now. All right. The thing has, the candlestick pattern right here. It's called a dark cloud cover. It's the same thing you got over here. What happened? Yeah, you gapped up the next day and made a new high. But guess what? It got faded. All right. All it's showing you is big money is exiting right here. Okay. Like, so people with enough size on to cause this kind of move, they're exiting on a failed breakout. That is what a dark cloud cover is, okay? You get a gap up and you fail. A gap and fail. All right, so we're going to have to see if it gets bought up over here. This is, the golden pocket from this most recent move. It's right over here, 335.50. If you hold 335.50, everything's all dandy sweet. Then you really have to wait for it to push back up. I think there's no setup to really trade over here on Tesla right now. I know it's looking real nice over here, but, in reality, setup to trade right now, if you want to focus on one of these guys, is Uber. All right, this is the one in its theme over here that is really performing right here. This is actually a ticker quest that someone like a member ended up giving me, and boom, holy shit, the guy was spot on. This had a sexy ass base going on above previous all-time highs, 81.86. The thing's not breaking above 93.60. It's happened in the short term, and then I imagine over the coming weeks you get a trending move going. This is a massive range. You hit a break and retest over the range. You got a false breakout over here. So the range is over here. You got a picture perfect break and retest off of this range. 4 to 5 weeks of consolidation. The thing is now breaking up. It's probably going straight to $100, honestly. Uber's looking real freaking nice. But, as for Tesla, it's looking like a piece of dog crap over here. And I wouldn't be trading it. You got no business trading it right now until it honestly can get above here. And you're like, Henry, but that's $25. No, I'm bugging. That's $15 above current price. What are you talking about? Everything is going to pump by then. Option premiums are going to pump. It doesn't matter. Okay, right now odds aren't in your favor. Up there, odds are in your favor. What do you want? Okay, do you want to be right? Do you want to make money? It's one or the other. Okay, you could buy over here thinking it's coming up here, but you don't know it's actually doing it until it doesn't. Okay, so you might as well just wait to see if you can catch that. And honestly, if it just gaps up here, I would still call that pretty weak. I wouldn't want to touch that thing. It probably is going to have the same reaction as over here. So no, Tesla is not a buy the dip opportunity, okay? Like I said, Meta and Amazon are the Mag 7 stocks you want to focus on right now. NVIDIA is actually showing the most strength aside from Meta right now. I just personally can't justify, trading up to all-time highs here. I don't want to. All right, but I do think that is where it's headed. Okay, but you don't have to be in everything, guys. You can only have a few solid plays going, and I'm going to point out some of the things that I got going in this video, and I think you're going to have a good time if you tag along. No financial advice, but I think we have a lot of hot setups to focus on right now, and I got a few that are standing out to me. Meta is definitely one of them. Can see a nice 20-30 point move tomorrow potentially on the table, and that can pay very big. All right, but NVIDIA over here looking like once all-time highs above 148.97. We're talking 153.13. Above there, you have psychological levels. You have 155 and then 160. That's NVIDIA. Coming over here, Microsoft. It's another one that's very strong, but I'm not going to be trading it. Okay, but in reality, you want to focus on strength in markets. That's what this is. It's the strongest Mag 7 stock still. It's probably going higher. All right, real talk. It is very likely going higher. I love it. All right, but it's not something I'm going to be trading. You did have a little spinning top kind of candlestick over here, so I wouldn't be surprised if you get hit with a little pullback that then gets bought up tomorrow. So I'm going to tell you about it, okay? You take out the high, 491.85. The next cycle level you're watching is 495 and then 500. I do think 500 isn't coming in the short term. That's Microsoft, okay? Now, let's go over some trade ideas just for you, okay? First things first. We went over Meta. We went over Amazon because they're, the Mag 7 stock setting up right now. AVGO is the chip stock I would be focusing on. AVGO is something that consolidated here for 3 weeks. You're now breaking up after the 4th week. You now pushed up to 265.43, guys. We talk about this on this channel quite a bit here when it pops up. Guess what? The perfect double tops, they don't really play out. This thing's going to make a new high tomorrow above 265.43. I'm talking 270, 272.5. 275 and maybe 280. Do I think it happens all in one day? No, but I think you are going to drag yourself up just like this. And let's say after you got the first decent day over here, the new highs, as you could say, we swept the high today, but you did close out nice and strong today. And you can see how you were looking on the 4 hour and on the 1 hour. It's looking like it wants to hit it with another leg up tomorrow. All right, so a 4% move is a 10 point move, $10 move. Okay. Not saying you get another 4% move, but I'm just going to point out what happened last time. You ended up making new highs like that. Well, next day, $8 move. From that high, the next day after that, another almost $8 move. Like that's the equivalent of this thing somehow getting all the way up here to 280. That's why I say 275, 280, certainly on the table above 265.43. It's a hot setup to focus on right now. Oracle. All right, this thing was hitting it with the flag action. Okay, this thing is about to break up above 216.60. Above 216.60, we're talking 220 to 230. It could come quick. All right, this was a trending stock. This pretty much had a complete repricing. Okay, the market repriced this stock. That's why you had a massive move up like that, because earnings absolutely wowed market participants in the stock market. All right, so they repriced the stock. Well, this thing is probably going to continue this trending move after breaking above 216.60. So it's something I'm paying attention to, and it's something you can as well. All right, that's what you got over here. I'm just going to say Rocket Lab, guys. I personally took this bad boy off today, and I'm going to see if we get a pullback, maybe even next week, to re-enter on that. And I am going to pick August contracts to trade that with. All right, or potentially end of July contracts to trade that with. I hope you guys made some solid coin over here on this guy. I definitely pointed out ahead of time. I've kept it on our, our focus here at the end of these videos, but I definitely pointed out coming into this week, and I identified a gap down or a pullback intra-week at the beginning of the week as a buy the dip opportunity. All right, because if you did come back, you were probably not going to be taken out that low, so you could have had a wider stop there, and you're probably also not gonna, you're not gonna take out the daily 21 EMA over here and invalidate the bullish thesis here. Well, you held down there. You could have bought the gap down with me over here. And guess what? Then you took it above 30.78, and you took it straight up to all-time highs, 33.34, baby. That's why it's that first gray line. That's TP number one. Now, we were actually up about 100%. It was 90% by the time we got up there. So honestly, I don't see a reason to risk it for the biscuit. All right. People got hit with HIMS. I got hit with HIMS. You know, in reality, in literally one day, this took away the loss on that. I'm not going to risk things for the biscuit. We have a lot of hot stocks right now going on. And I'm going to bring it to the next one that I also took off today. I know, Henry, you've been targeting 85. You've been talking about it. Well, guys, the thing was up 7.5% today. And, you know, I'm looking at premiums here. And, yeah, you're really not going to be missing out all that much if you sell from here compared to 85 bucks. It's really, you're not missing all that much. And I think you actually are just kind of holding on a decent amount of risk there. But I'm also going to say I do definitely think it hits 85. I think it might test 90 bucks. But again, I'm just not trying to be a greedy little pig here. When in reality, we have a lot of hot setups to trade right now. And I much rather take my money, you know, 75% gain on something that is, you know, something that's, it's already played out here. It's, you know, I bought it during consolidation. I bought it at a good price, I'm pretty sure. And now I'm selling it at a better price. And then there are other things that I think are at great entry points that I think are about to have these fresh breakouts, just like, you know, Hood trickled its way up there. Well, we have a bunch of other things that are probably going to be experiencing these style breakouts. I much rather focus on that and, you know, have my risk on in those names now. I try telling you all the time, guys. I at least have 2 to 4 setups that usually run 50 to 100% each week. I get to execute on them. I'll definitely point them out for you guys. I point them out for the Discord constantly over there, so they all know about it. But, you know, that's why I tell you guys, you don't need to go all in on trades. You don't need to risk blowing yourself up and shit. I get messaged about it, and I hate seeing it. Why? Because you did a stupid thing. You don't need to do it. And I think the only reason people do it is because they don't know. They don't have the experience that I've had over for years now. You do see that you have these setups that are ready to go, these A+ setups every single week. And I do my best to identify them for no cost to you on this channel. But it's up to you to execute on. If you need help, I could help you out. But like, let's be completely real about it. You have these setups every single week. And I really tell people you don't have a reason to be FOMO into things. If you are finding yourself FOMOing into things, you're getting bad entry points. You're taking, you know, let's say you take 3 to 4 back-to-back losses. Take a step back. Take a step back. Wait a few days or even to next week. And I guarantee there's going to be another list of fresh hot stocks, A+ setups. And I will even identify them as long as you watch these videos into the end of the video. That's why I put all of them at the end of the video here. And it usually takes up about half the video, us just going over what stocks to be trading. Okay? Try and help you guys out. Please, all I ask for is that you leave a like on the video. And if you are new here, you know, I would just turn notifications. Like, you definitely subscribe, but turn notifications on so you can see when we post these. If you just do the due diligence with me, I do all the work for you. Okay, but if you just do the work of listening, all right, of watching, of updating your own charts, okay, so you can execute in real time, you're going to have a real good time in the market. I can guarantee it. If you don't do these things, I can't really help you. I can't. But if you are willing to put in just a little bit of work to make you go a long way, I can help you go a long way. I can't do anything for you. No financial advice. Okay. Next one we're talking, SOFI. We talked about this one over here for the break and retest off of 1478. What happened on Monday? Boom, you got the break and retest off of 1478. You held the daily 21 over here, and oh, you pushed back up to new highs. I'm now thinking this weekly candle can expand up to 1610. But honestly, it's not one that, you know, I would really be rushing in. I gave you guys this, I'm pretty sure, on the weekly update. I definitely, you know, mentioned it to the Discord, but I gave it to you on the weekly update. 1478 was really the ideal entry point over here for the break and retest. But once we did end up printing this candle, this was a trade idea I gave coming into today. This is looking nice. Okay, 1610. It's a hot stock. It's a hot stock, boy. Walmart. All right, you did end up printing a nice upper wick there, but I will point out, look at that consistent volume going on. I do think maybe this consolidates for a few days and then pushes up. This is a setup that has not gone yet. You have, you know, a wide consolidation range right here of $6, 6 points. You get above 99.50. You're coming straight to all-time highs over the next 1 to 2 weeks. This is a setup that I think you can play July contracts on. You can use August contracts. You can actually do that without the premiums being all pumped for earnings. Why? because August expiration monthly OPEX is going to be August 15th. Earnings are over here on the 21st. So you can play that. I've already done the due diligence for you. Okay. You catch a 5-point move over there on the August contracts, you're going 100%. All right. Just about. You get a $2.50 move, you're going to go about 50%. July contracts, they're going to be moving more. That's how it is. Okay. But above at 99.50, this thing's ready to blast. 2 all-time highs. And you probably hit it with one of these sequences. All right. So that's Walmart. Last one I'm going to point out here in this video. Well, TTWO, we pointed out in yesterday's video to watch for the breakout. Got the breakout today. I think it's about to start moving. And the options are dangerously cheap over here as far as weeklies go, because the stock barely gets normal movement. But I like pointing out the breakouts over here because guess what? That's when you end up getting larger moves. And then boom, the option chain doesn't price in it, and then they pay you. All right. But last one I'm really going to identify for you guys over here is PayPal. I think it's setting over here on the weekly time frame. I think it's setting up. You have a nice 1.5 to 2 month range going on here, 1.5 months so far, and the range spans $5. Well, the range high, it's technically at 75.27, but you know what's being respected is 74.15. Above 74.15, guys, I think you get a straight up move to $79. I don't think you're going to stop here at the 200-day man. I think you're going to go right past it. All right, big move loading over here on PayPal. Keep it on the radar. With that being said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you had a great day. Okay, I really do. And if you didn't have a great day in the market, I want you to take a step back and like realize what you're doing. You got to be getting bad entries or something like that. You got to be FOMOing. You got to, there's just some principle that you're not doing right. All right. So I try and help you guys out. I know we talk about the charts, but you know, at the end of the day, I know we're all traders. We're all trading in this market, whether you're, doing a good job or not. We're all here with the same goal. You want to make money. Okay. So if you're not making money, there's got to be something you're doing wrong. Okay. Identify what that thing is that you're doing wrong. Okay. With that being said, I'll catch you all in the next one. Appreciate you guys. Peace.